lose this. If you lose this, you cannot afford to lose any more series for the entire rest of the whole round. I always forget the name of this format. It's like
Swiss.
not round robin. Swiss, yeah, sorry.
Swiss format, yeah.
Pseudo Swiss, whatever we call it.
Pseudo Swiss, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, here we go. Starting things off in the bottom left for Team Gosu. It is Maplez.
And up here in the top right-hand side of the map, we have our blue Protoss player from Apprentice Esports. He is DisK.
And yeah, I know that the term must win is, well, when you think of must-win scenarios, you think of actual must-win scenarios where a player genuinely has to win the game or, you know, they're legitimately out. But I do think of this match for both of these players, it kind of is a must-win for them. Because these are the kind of players that each of them, I think, has to beat if they want to have a chance of making the playoffs. Obviously, you know, it's not quite that simple because, yeah, you do have to just, you know, win against whoever's in front of you. But I really feel like if either player loses this one, they're just going to have such a difficult time trying to actually make it through.
Yeah, I do think that you're right in the sense that there aren't really super weak players like relative to this level of play around anymore. So you do need to be able to compete at this kind of level in order to win any of the series, like including even the next one. So you're definitely right there. This is going to be a fun little start as we have Maplez on that bottom side of the map, actually throwing up a proxy over on DisK's side of the map with that single pylon, but the probe has already left. We aren't going to be seeing any buildings coming out of that or anything just yet. And he's just kind of poking around, getting some additional scouting information. We'll see if he decides to return back with that probe and do anything a little bit cheekier.
Yeah, I think it's just a fake proxy, but it's in such a strange location. This is really interesting. Maplez is going to open up with a Stalker Sentry. Of course, DisK is a very stock standard player relatively. Oh, that's what Maplez did. Oh my goodness. I missed this. He mined out the minerals here as a fake out. And now DisK is going to be looking all around the bottom right. He knows there's a pylon missing. Oh, this is such a great play for Alcyone. So Maplez has sold the idea that he built a proxy Stargate or a proxy something by mining out these minerals. Oh, that is such a cool play from Maplez. And DisK, he's just looking around. Maplez, he's getting a Nexus. Oh, yeah. But there's the scout.
Yeah, DisK is going to realize what's going on. He also sees that it's double sentry, double stalker. So that's going to be a pretty big reveal that, okay, there's the big gas investment. There's really unlikely that anything else is really happening besides this now. So DisK will be able to react appropriately. And I mean, DisK also got up his own Nexus behind everything. He is going to be going for his Robo. And Hussein Oracle pops on forward. Not going to actually be confusing anything. But both these players are pretty in the know about what's happening now.
Yeah, I do like Maplez's setup just a little bit better. The Twilight Council is better tech, and his Nexus is slightly ahead, and he's up 2 probes. It's all small, marginal stuff, but this is the kind of stuff that can springboard you into a successful mid-game. It's not going to win you the game, because it will come down to who has, you know, better Blink Stalker control, who is overall just a stronger player, but there are definitely... Well, it's just a good start. It's just a solid start. There's no other way to put it, really.
No, I'm totally with you on this. And, I mean, it is reflected in the fact that there still is no Twilight Council for DisK. He is really just going to be pretty far behind in that specific regard. So it will be kind of interesting to see how he's going to be able to try and compensate for that. If he's going to just try and get up a generally larger army or something, if he's going to try and just be more of the defender for a little bit. Time will kind of tell where things are going on that. But I will say, to exactly the point you were talking about, in a vacuum, outside of the context of this particular game, if you hand me both these players and say, who do you think is going to be stronger in the mid or late game? I would look at this and say DisK. That is his strong suit. He is a macro player, almost to a fault sometimes in the past, where he is just the player that wouldn't cheese. He's the player that doesn't like to get hyper aggressive in the early game. And I think he's gotten better about that, but that is something where I think it's going to be important for Maplez to get those kind of edges in the early game.
Yeah, I like to think of that as Gerald or Geralditis, where you know, when they can attack you, they're like, no, 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 we go further. The old meme was, of course, Thor's aim, the spoon Terran. You know, kill your opponent with a spoon. When you're ahead, get more ahead. But of course, that's an outdated meme. The new hotness is Geralt. And I got to agree, I feel like DisK is a very similar player in the sense that he really likes to take the game late a lot of the time. And it does allow him to really have that sharp, extremely sharp late game. But it can lead to you being not super exploited, but a little bit. If you're a little bit predictable and your opponent knows that you're unlikely to go for a very aggressive timing, that can be exposed just a little bit, especially in a slightly preparation-based format, which we do have for these regionals.
Yeah, now the positioning of these stalkers moving forward is going to be really important to keep an eye on, because one of the observers for Maplez did get picked off. He made 2 of them, so he does have a second one, and even has the Warp Prism over there trying to get some additional scouting info. But if he can find an angle to try and blink around and be annoying, he's going to be able to find some good damage. But look at this defense over here from DisK. Yeah, he's losing a couple of probes to the Adepts, but overall, I mean, really, really solid handling of the fact that there were 2 different angles that there was the attack coming in from, and the Stalkers just get completely pushed back.
Yeah, that's really nice right there from DisK. Ooh, great force field to snag that Stalker. That would have gotten away otherwise. Yeah, it's the Observer. The Observer got sniped by DisK. DisK was able to gain control of that vision. He saw where the Stalkers were at all times. He split off a perfect number of units to deal with those Adepts. It does still put Maplez ahead, but it could have put him way further ahead. Like, it could have put him way further ahead. And he already started with a small marginal lead. We're still in a position where neither player is in a dominant position, but Maplez is slipping further and further ahead with that fast +1, with that what looks like is going to be a faster 4th Nexus. There's all these little marginal advantages that DisK is just kind of letting slip. But will it matter if he just is better in the late game and always takes better fights and always has control of the map? That's the question.
Yeah, I think that's something we're definitely going to have to be keeping an eye on, because I think you're absolutely right. If we just look at things on the production tab, as opposed to the little army skirmishes and stuff, I feel like DisK was doing a really good job with the army skirmishes so far, as we once again see him kind of trying to ambush these units over the zone like a watchtower. DisK is doing a great job with all of that, but on the production tab, you're absolutely right. +1 weapons finished up there for Maplez. DisK did a little bit of a move out, and he doesn't have +1 weapons. He doesn't have charge about to finish up. He doesn't have as fast of a 4th base. He doesn't have a Templar Archives on the way. You're absolutely right. And actually, almost to the opposite end of it, DisK is even investing into, you know, photon cannons and stuff for the defense. He was the player that earlier on in this game was also investing into shield batteries when Maplez was completely skipping them. DisK is kind of doing this funny thing where he is setting up for a late game and also investing in defensive structures, even though he's not necessarily getting like attacked super hard or anything. All of these defensive structures so far have not really been paying off.
Yeah, and this is almost a little bit of a reputation type of move, it feels like, that DisK is going for. Like, he builds these cannons, and they make sense in the mid game of PvP when you're in a good economic position. But I think this is a little bit early for Standard, especially with him being slightly behind, because this is like this is an anti-DT play, obviously. These cannons and shield batteries everywhere. But Maplez is he's just leveraging his advantage into bigger army. And if he hits a +2 timing with charge and a bunch of Archons against an opponent that has very few Zealots, is trying to go into Disruptors and no +2 weapons, and I don't know, this could be a super devastating timing. I love that he's moving out right now. I am very scared for DisK on this 4th base.
No, absolutely. I'm 100% with you. Robotics Fate about to finish there for DisK, but he needs another 30 to 40 seconds to get those first 2 Disruptors out. And they're simply just not going to be here in time for this push if Maplez goes. Maplez at his front door. He's done his weapon with the Warp Prism. The Zealots are ready over here. +2 weapons about to finish, like you were saying there, Dave. A blink forward there from DisK. An interesting blink forward. A shield battery overcharge on the back shield battery. But you can see DisK is getting obliterated on that front line right now.
All 3 of those Immortals getting caught by the force fields. Those were perfect force fields for Maplez. And he is just going to absolutely crush through. We do have these Stalkers trying to retreat into the corner. Maplez needs to get on top of them, but even if he doesn't and they do get recalled out, this is a dead 4th base. This is a huge fight going in favor of Maplez. What a start for him in this group. And now behind this, he starts his own disruptor transition. There are a lot of cannons here. This is a little bit bold going for this, but it might just be too much army.
Yeah, I really do think that even if the entirety of Maplez' army gets cleaned up at this point, Maplez is still going to be the one that's in a much more comfortable position. He's got the tech, like you were saying, coming up behind everything. He's also still got the economy, and he's been able to take out so much of DisK. DisK knows it, and he is going to tap out as Maplez takes that first game. But, man, what a solid job there by Maplez. I think really just cutting the right corners against DisK and hitting that perfect timing there. Like, you truly could not have timed that out almost any better, where the robotics bay investment, the extra robo investment, all of these things, as well as already just generally being slightly further ahead on all of his tech, hitting right before DisK was able to play any form of catch-up or to get out any of his additional power units from that robotics bay. That actually could have been, if you hit 30 seconds later with that kind of attack, it potentially looks really, really different. Disruptors on that big charge lot army or something in a big choke point. I actually think there's a chance for DisK to maybe...
I apologize. I just completely cut off Ravi. I went rogue there. Adding Niall to the call.
Yeah. But overall, just all good. Overall, a very, very solid kind of thing there from we saw Maplez. Like Maplez, he got the lead. He was able to exploit that lead and find the exact right timing. I think it is an underrated skill to be able to hit that kind of find of a timing and to know, okay, I have a lead. When do I capitalize? When do I cash in on my lead? Because if you wait too long, then things like disruptors, power units, can actually give your opponent opportunity to like reclaim it, right? There's suddenly like a power unit there that, yes, in theory, if you play perfectly, you'll still be winning. But there's just this opportunity you're giving to your opponent to like make their way back into the game. And Maplez just played that out perfectly with the timing of saying, okay, now is the absolute last second I can cash in this lead before things get a little bit dicier. He did a great job with it.
Yeah, that was a fantastic game plan and setup from Maplez, and I'm really excited to see if he can keep that going as we are going to be getting into game number 2.
Yes, sir. Heading on to Golden Aura.
Yes, we are spawning up at the top left for Team Gosu. It is Maplez in the red.
And down here in the bottom right-hand side, we have our blue Protoss player from Apprentice Esports. He is DisK. Kind of interestingly, I mean, I really did come into this series thinking, okay, if there's a player I'm favoring, it's going to be DisK. He just has the name recognition behind him. He has that experience. Maplez, it's literally his second season qualifying into the North American Regionals. And I mean, Maplez is already starting off really, really strong after that first game. I'm really liking what he's bringing to the table today.
Yeah, me too. I'm a huge fan of how he approached that. And you said that best, I think, because you can get yourself ahead. That is not a crazy feat at this level of play to be like, oh yeah, you know, your +2 timing is faster. Your Archon timing is faster. You have more charge lots. Like, that is not necessarily the most difficult thing to do, although it is obviously a sign of great skill. But what really makes the difference between like a good player and a great player, in my opinion, is what you said, which is recognizing that and being able to take advantage. And you looked at the timer on the right side. It was ticking down to 3, 2, 1 seconds as his units got in there. That was about as razor sharp of a timing in terms of hitting it as you can get. And it worked out really well for him. And I'm just excited to see that. Maplez is going to get the probe kill there. Oh my goodness. He starts off with a game 1 victory and gets mental damage in game 2.
Yeah, it's really annoying to lose that scouting probe like that, because that scouting probe is a thing that can sometimes maybe move around and maybe throw up like a pylon somewhere so you can warp in a depth later on, or you just get an idea of what are the first 2 gateway units. Are you going for double stalker? Are you going for double, adept, which is another really common thing that we actually see Maples going for, or even just Protoss players who've been opening up with sentries. PvP is in a little bit of a state of flux in terms of what is the best way to open right now. So if there was any time to be annoyed with losing your scouting probe, it would be this time in the meta, I feel like.
Yeah. And not to mention the fact that there was a fake proxy in game number 1. There's another fake proxy in game 2. It is not uncommon to set the table. Oh,
ooh, nice scout.
Okay, I was going to say, he definitely wants to...
Is he really going to return for it? No.
I think it might be worth it to deny the scout on the Nexus. Yeah, yeah. That is a cute little pylon there. Doesn't achieve anything. I don't know what the goal was there, but... Actually, yeah, was there any positive benefit to building up? I don't think there was. I think that was just one of those things he did.
Oh my god, okay. That was actually such a cute attempt there from DisK. He tried to pull his stalkers back because you remember, Adept Shades don't have a super large vision radius. So DisK tried to pull his stalkers outside the vision radius of the Shades so that they would complete. Didn't end up working out, but this is going to be working out quite well for DisK. He is nearly going to be able to get his kill on this first stalker. He does secure that kill. 4 stalkers versus just the 1. Warp Gate's finishing up.
Oh no.
Denies the full wall in over there. Picks off some probes over here. Might be able to kill off another stalker. There's only 2 Warp Gates available. So DisK could actually very well end up potentially doing game-ending damage here, Steadfast. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. Oh, that's a great force field right here. Still, that's all of his weapons. Using the stalkers were able to shoot from the low ground, so they actually find way more damage on that one stalker than they should have been able to. DisK is going to be able to get in here once again. He's already killed 7 probes, and just like that, DisK has turned this one around. There is a Dark Shrine trying to be completed. We've already got a robotics facility on the way. Oh, and that is an Arty Mictosis pylon. Where are the Warpins? Okay, there's Maples' Warpins. I was like, where are Maples' Warpins going? We're going to see an attempt to surround these stalkers, but they just skedaddle on out. And at this point, I'm willing to call this one. I'm willing to call this on time of death, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, even though the Dark Shrine finished up, there's no pylon right now. The pylons are being built, but almost every single probe is going down, and a robo is finished. An observer is halfway done before the DTs are warped in. This truly, I don't blame Maples at all because he doesn't know that the robo's finished up. It's possible that DisK has forgotten about it. Why not try and play it out and just see what we can get done? Realizes it's not going to happen. GG is called and just ties up the series with such a strange game number 2.
Yeah, that was a really strange game number 2. That was super bizarre. Cool, very cool, but one of the weirder games. I think we'll see.
Yeah, I kind of chalk it up to like a couple of things. One is that the way that, and again, it's a calculated risk when you do stuff like that as Maples, where the double adept opening is nice for getting scouting information. You also try to keep your opponent at home because the adepts have the potential to try and zoom into the main base and be annoying or something. But if you get that full wallop off, you can try to just be aggressive. And it's the fact that Maples did that, plus also doing the fast calculated tech up to Dark Shrine behind it while foregoing a lot of the follow-up units there. He really only got up that extra like Stalker Sentry, which is again not a super great fighting combination. He doesn't have any shield batteries or anything, and it's a 4 Stalker opening there from DisK. Like everything just that Maples was trying to do as a calculated risk did not work out well, and DisK just saw the opportunity and pounced on it so quickly.
He really did. He was so decisive with that play, and that is honestly pretty awesome to see. Like, you really do need to be, I mean, you do need to be decisive if you want to make a play like that work, and being able to do so under the gun when you're down 1-0 in a series, when you're already 0-1 in the series score, that's pretty nice. That's nice to see.
Yeah, it's going to be important because now we head into game number 3, and it's kind of funny. I feel like game number 1 is the closest you could say really to having like a normal-ish game, but even that, I do want to make a mention that kind of said it before. Maples got ahead in that game because DisK was 1, playing kind of safe, but also 2, you mentioned it before, Maples was also doing some nice mind games and everything. So game number 3, Is Maples going to be able to do the same kind of mind games? Is he going to be able to get that same kind of early game lead and carry out into a win? Because we haven't seen a game where they both get into the mid game or the late game on even footing yet.
No, we haven't. Not really. Granted, it was just small advantages in game one, and Maples just kind of continued to add them on. But you are right. We haven't really seen a dead even game just yet. But let's see. Spawning up at the top left, it is Apprentice Esports DisK in the blue.
And down here on the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have our red Protoss player. He is Maplez.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Truth be told, like the whole setup really, it was really quite surprising. Because you don't ever often see 5 stalkers just end a game.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's pretty uncommon these days. And I'm gonna try to give Maples a little bit of credit on that, because I think it looks really bad. It looks really silly. Like,
yeah,
it's very easy as a casual observer to just look at that and say, what on earth were you doing? That was like just a really dumb decision. But I'm gonna give credit to Maples and say what I think may have been the case is because it's so rare for those kind of just pure stalker push-outs there from a Protoss player to actually end the game. Maybe he was thinking it was unlikely that DisK would go for something like that in that game. He was thinking, oh, players are opening up Stalker's Sentry after the first 2 Stalkers, or they're being a little bit more defensive. Maybe it's like a double Adept, or maybe there's some other tech or something coming out first. And it's the fact that it was unlikely, Maples maybe thought, oh, I'll just take this risk, because what are the chances he's going to do this?
Yeah, I think there's a very real possibility. Also, something important to note is that he did scout the Twilight Council with that probe. So he might have looked at that and said, okay, you're aiming for a blink timing. You're not going to try and, get ultra aggressive on me right out the gate. And obviously that wasn't the case. DisK did go for that. He caught that one stalker. And the funny thing is, it didn't even look like it was caught that hard. But Maples was about 0.1, maybe 0.2 seconds late on pulling it back when he needed to. And if he saves that stalker, things may look completely different. It really was a game of inches there. Yeah, I mean,
there's so many things you can consider. If the Adepts had immediately been back at home, if they'd recalled or something, I actually think he could have held there. I think if there was a shield battery built, like reflexively when he saw that how many stalkers were moving out, I think he could have defended over there. I think there's so many little things, like you said, little inches that could have made the difference there. But as all of that is being said and done, that is now a game that's in the past and is now over with the series tied up 1-1. We now have game number 3 here that's going to be kind of kicking into gear as we have another stalker move out from DisK yet again. Also got a proxy pylon getting set up, a robo with a warp prism being made right now, steadfast. These are all signals of a Protoss player that is willing to get a little bit aggressive.
Yeah, this is a 3-gate robo play, and it is going to be so difficult to defend. Shield battery getting killed, not canceled. Sentry goes down as well. And DisK is saying, I out-executed you in the early game last game. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to skill check you hard. And it is going to be really tough to handle. Because he went for that Twilight Council first, didn't cancel it. The robotics facility is not yet done. And there we go. We got the Nexus being canceled. That's the right call for Maples. But DisK can... I mean, there's still some potential here for this to get very scary for Maples. He's down a gate. Oh. That Warp Prism is extra micro potential. I'm very scared.
I'm really, really scared for Maples. He was even a little bit supply block there. He has the double pylon on the way because of it. Because he was expecting the Nexus and the pylon, the low ground to help out, but losing that pylon, the low ground really caused an awkward situation. It delayed his next round of Warpins, and now the shield battery is going to be adding in a lot of extra shield healing power, but the Warp Prism stays alive. DisK is actually powering for quite a bit. He does lose the Warp Prism. No more fast reinforcements over there, and the shield battery overcharge plus the locked-in stalkers is going to be a very nice snag for Maples.
I am pretty sure that was 2 stalkers in the Warp Prism right there for DisK. It was at least 1, and that is a huge turning point right there. Without that pickoff, I mean, DisK can kind of just continue to do what he was doing for a long time. Oh, very unfortunate timing for the Observer of Maples to move out just as the Observer of Maples crossed the map and got there. Still, DisK, he played with fire, and he got burned super hard right there. That was very risky from him, going that deep with this. And now as the Observer gets sniped on the other side, oh my god, warping in aggressively. I mean, I guess Blink is going to be done, but he could potentially jump on this army.
Yeah, I'm actually also surprised. I really thought it was going to be an Adept warping over there just to try and put a harassment while he was facing his own, you know, defensive or trying to defend back at home. But yeah, Stalker warping is going to be interesting. Like you said, Blink is going to be really, really helpful for allowing him to just be offensive and out on the map. And I really do think this is now going to be Maple's game to lose. Like, he can be aggressive. Now, the real question also is, can DisK put on a little bit of pressure with that Warp Prism while defending back at home without his own Blink?
Yeah, that is the question. I mean, Maples should see that there's no Nexus, and he should just chill out. Oh, another Observer is going to go down. That is... Oh, nice little Blink. Almost grabs a Stalker on the counter. Losing the Observer obviously is painful for Maples, but I think he should just chill. I don't think you need to be on the map right now. You're the one with the probe lead. You're the one with the rebuilt Nexus, and you know that your opponent doesn't have a Nexus unless it's hidden somewhere on the map. Granted, he might not be expecting this Warp Prism. Oh, but that's a very quick recall. Nice job. And do you just... Yeah, I guess you just sack... No, okay, he's going to be able to save the Adepts. Feels like Maples was a little bit late on the Blink there.
Yeah. Maybe you could have sacrificed the Adepts. I really like that he actually just kept them alive, because just the threat of that is going to keep those Stalkers back on his side of the map, and then allows DisK to this little move out. I mean, DisK is on one base. There is no let me just try to mac her out from here situation available for DisK. Finds another Observer, which is going to be very, very nice. Too bad he didn't have a Dark Shrine or something. Maples has lost so many Observers.
And that's so much robo time that could have been Immortals. There will be one Immortal out, and there's a shield battery at home. And with battery overcharge, I mean, this, I think you're right. This feels still like it is Maple's game to lose.
Yeah, there's double Adepts on the other side of the map that are just going to put a little bit of light pressure on as well and make things annoying. DisK is going to try and pull his Warp Prism back over to the front line so he can get fast, aggressive Warp-ins. I do like that decision. Maybe even actually Elevator up into the main base, which is not a bad idea. Scouting pro on the low ground for Maples. I love it. He sees that the Stalkers are moving in that position. He repositions himself. He doesn't have a shield battery overcharge just at this moment, but Immortal in the mix over here, that may make the difference here for Maples.
It is adding so much DPS. We see fantastic Blink Micro from DisK, but against the firepower that Maples has, it's just not even a fair fight. The Micro was honestly way better from DisK right there. And especially as the Immortal kind of move commands in, but it's not going to matter. Maple's setup was so much better, and he is going to take game number 3.